Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining me. My name is Kurt Knoll, the Director of Member Relations here at Barnabas Foundation. And joining me today is one of my esteemed colleagues, Adam Lopez, one of our senior planners here on our staff out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Thanks for joining me this morning, Adam.
Thanks for having me here, Kurt.
Absolutely. So today's topic, we're going to talk about gifts of marketable securities. During the broadcast, if you happen to have questions relating to today's topic, feel free to type them into the Q&A portion there on the Zoom screen. They'll pop up here, and Adam and I will address those questions as we're able to. And just to let you know, today's session will be recorded. We'll be making the recording of this available, usually within about 48 hours after our broadcast. It'll be posted to barnabasfoundation.com/interactive. There you can also find recordings from our prior 4 episodes of this 5-week series relating to different ways to give, especially as we go into the end of the year. We talked about things like how general advised funds work, gifts of cryptocurrency, gifts of business and marketable business and real estate transactions, as well as IRA giving. And today rounds out those 5 segments, focusing in on marketable securities. When we talk about gifts of marketable securities, we're talking about what you might anticipate them to be. So, stocks that trade on the equity exchanges, mutual funds, exchange traded funds, as well as things like bonds. Certain bonds may make sense to gift as well. And so we'll be covering those topics. And again, if you have questions, feel free to ask throughout the broadcast. So Adam, we'll just start off with the basic question about why does it make sense for a donor to make a gift of a marketable security rather than just writing a check?
That's a really good question. There's several reasons why it's advisable to make these gifts rather than just write a check. One of those is that these are widely held assets by a large number of donors. As the list you just described, these are types of assets that people classically have in their portfolios. So they're available and ready to give. Secondly, they're very easily transferred to charities. We'll get into that process a little later, but suffice it to say, the only thing that's more easily transferable to charities is cash. So you're pretty high on that transferability score there. But the real big reason is the tax benefits, and that's what everyone I'm sure is interested to know. So in order to get these tax benefits, 2 things need to occur. First, from the time that you purchase or invest in this asset, there needs to be some appreciation. The value needs to go up. Secondly, from the time that you acquire this asset, a year and a day needs to pass before the gifting. This locks in the long-term capital gains nature of that asset, and that gets you a couple of things. First of all, it gets you the evaporation of the capital gains tax that you would have owed on the sale of that asset had you sold it and then donated cash to charity. So what this ends up coming out to is you have, depending on your tax bracket, between 10, 15, up to 20% more of the funds are available to charity because you did not pay that tax. You also, on top of that, get a fair market value charitable deduction for your gift, which if you can't use all in the year of the gift, you get a 5-year carry forward. So this is a really great gift combined with the ease of transferring it. It's a really great gift to make.
So a couple of things that I picked up on there, but one you mentioned, you get some tax benefits from this. So gifts of this kind have to come from taxable investment accounts, right? Not from retirement-based savings.
That's correct. That's correct.
And we often talk about that double tax benefit. And I want to reflect on this for just a minute, because there really is 2 different sides of this tax benefit. The one someone gets when they make a gift of this. First is the market value deduction. So they get a deduction for the current value of that stock on the day they give it, right? And how is that calculated?
So any public exchange, if the asset is on the stock exchange or the bond exchange, the way the IRS allows us to calculate it is you take the average of the low selling price and the high selling price on the date of the gift. And that determines what your fair market value deduction is.
Okay. But then that other benefit is that avoidance of the capital gains, and that's probably one of the bigger ones as well. It's wonderful if you're a donor and you can write a check for, say, $10,000, you get a $10,000 deduction. But you make a gift of $10,000 in stock, okay, it's costing you the same amount, but there's a hidden cost that you're not realizing, and that's that avoidance of that capital gains. And that's what you were alluding to there, correct, Adam?
That's correct. That's a really powerful thing in this type of giving, because not only do you have more available to charity, but that charitable deduction you're going to get provides extra value to you, and you have the cash that you would have given to charity if you were going to write a check. You have that now available to do other things with.
Mm-hmm. So that wonderful, stock that you bought a few years ago for $5,000 appreciated up to $10,000 now. And if you were to sell it outright in your taxable account, you're going to owe, let's just say it's 20% on that gain. Well, that's another $1,000 in tax that essentially you would end up paying. So in this way, you avoid that. It just disappears. It evaporates because you made the gift to charity. And when charity sells it, there is no tax. And so it just poof, goes away. And it's a wonderful little benefit for both you as well as the charity. Some donors we talk to, they have stock portfolios. They want to make some gifts, but there's an income desire still. Especially we see this with charitable gift annuities sometimes. Can donors use stocks or security portfolios to fund things like trusts and gift annuities and still get that income stream?
Absolutely. It's something we see quite often. People will have stocks that are just sitting there with a ton of appreciation. And they want to give to charity, but they still have some income needs. So for us, it's very easy to take those gifts once we receive them and put them into one of our life income agreements. As you indicated, charitable gift annuities and charitable remainder trusts are typically the vehicles that we use to fund those gifts. And you have a lot of options with those gifts. For some people, they would like a charitable deduction now, but they don't want the income now. So we're able to structure these instruments so that, say you would like the income to start on your retirement date, we can set up these instruments that way so that the year of the gift, you get that deduction, and then the asset is invested and growing until the trigger point, which is your retirement date, and then the payments begin at that point. So if you're interested in these types of gifts, please talk to us. We have a software we can provide you with some illustrations on what a gift of this nature might look for your specific situation. And that really helps in the decision-making process.
Right. Very true. And we recently helped a donor out with a fairly concentrated stock position. He had been a former executive at a public company and had acquired over the years quite a few shares in that particular stock. And it was a rather substantial portion of his estate value. And so he, by using a charitable trust and putting the stock in it, he retained that income stream off of it, that income interest off of it, but he was able to diversify that portfolio now through the trust and avoid all that capital gain on that stock that he acquired over the years through options and so forth that had fairly low cost basis, and it appreciated a great deal. So he was looking at a very large tax bill had he went and sold the several $1,000,000 position that he had. You can imagine paying 20% on that. You'd swallow hard on, spending $600,000 or $700,000 on tax bill for that. By putting it in the trust, we were able to avoid that. He's still generating income off the entire portfolio, and charity will benefit at the end of his life, which was an absolutely fabulous gift that we recently took part in. You just mentioned earlier, Adam, that this is one of the easy things to transfer. So how does the transfer process work? If they wanted to make a gift to one of our member ministries or any other charity they support, how might that happen?
Absolutely. So we have a graphic that if we could get loaded up here, it shows the very easy nature of this transaction. So it starts with the donor asking their financial advisor to transfer their stock or their asset to Barnabas Foundation. That's put into an account for the donor. We have our own donor advised fund we call the Stewards Fund. Once it's in that fund, Barnabas Foundation will then liquidate that asset, and the funds are in the individual donor's account, and they have some options once it's in the account. They can either send the money to ministry straight away, or they can have it invested in one of our investment accounts so that it's growing tax-free and they have a nice income stream with which to give to charity over the next several years.
Excellent. And for those donors that are out there that just want to make the direct gift to charity, you can either talk to your favorite charities directly. Many of them have stock transfer procedures already in place, For those members of ours that don't have specific instructions in place, we actually have a process by which you can make a direct gift to one of our member ministries through us without having to use the donor advised fund platform if that platform is not appealing to you. So, but as you alluded to, Adam, it's really a pretty easy process. You send a letter of instruction to your bank or your broker, whoever your financial advisor may be, with the transfer instructions to the favorite charity you have or to your donor advised fund, and away the gift goes. Probably the hardest thing is just making sure you get that receipt from the charity and make sure your accountant is calculating deduction properly. Which brings me to a quick question about the tax deduction itself. With these gifts, we know with other non-cash related gifts, appraisals are required, but that's not a requirement here with marketable securities. You do not have to get an appraisal done, correct?
That's correct. As long as it's the asset is tradable on a public exchange for which market quotations are readily available. That's the IRS language. No appraisal is needed. They just use that averaging to figure out your fair market value deduction, which is another great benefit of giving one of these gifts, because appraisals can take some time. They can be costly. So to have a gift that's not cash, that doesn't require one of those appraisals is a really great thing.
Occasionally, as we've talked to donors about giving this way, and they have their taxable portfolios and they've done really well and they're investing, and you say, well, rather than make that $10,000 check out to your favorite charity, why not give one of your stock positions here that of an equivalent value or a certain amount of shares to get to that value from some of your positions that have appreciated a great deal? And then they'll say, well, I really still like that stock. What might you recommend to them if they come back with a response like that?
Well, if they really like that stock, they can still have that stock. So what the beautiful thing about this type of gift is, if you're giving that stock, getting the forgiveness of the capital gains, getting that charitable deduction, you still have the amount of cash that you had before you gave that gift. Then with that cash, you can repurchase that stock now with a greater stepped up basis. And this is a common strategy that people use to kind of rebalance their portfolios. And it's very powerful, repurchasing the stock with the stepped up basis combined with the charitable deduction and the evaporation of capital gains. It's kind of a win-win-win.
And one question I've had recently that came up from a donor I was talking to about this was, so there's this issue with wash sales, right? If you sell a security and you rebuy it within such a period of time, certain things related to the gain or loss you recognized on that are problematic, but wash sales don't apply here. If you were to gift it and then rebuy it the same day, there's no impact other than the fact you've increased your basis to today's prices, correct?
That's correct. So there's really, if you have appreciated stock, it's really, you should be giving appreciated stock rather than cash, because the benefits are many.
No, they certainly are. And this is a common gift that we do here a great deal here at Barnabas Foundation. Every day we have more security transactions that come in the door that we sell and either put into folks as donor advised funds or their trusts or gift annuities or direct gifts to their favorite charities. And so if you're an individual out there or a family member that you have a taxable stock position and you're a generous individual that gives some money to your favorite charities, it may make some sense to step back and take a look at whether or not writing a check is the most tax efficient way that you're doing your giving. It's very possible that perhaps making a gift of a security like this from your taxable account would make more sense from a tax-wise position and actually save you a few dollars in tax in the long run. And as we just mentioned, you can always rebuy the position if you loved it that much. If you're a huge Tesla fan and you own Tesla and you like this, and you've appreciated a great deal, which that stock has, a great opportunity there where you could shed some of that gain, avoid that embedded tax, and still buy back that stock, and at the same time bless your favorite charities with the gifts that you had intended to make as well. Adam, thanks for joining us. Again, these are the types of gifts that we do on a daily basis. And so if any of you are out there watching this, any of our donors, the donors of any of our favorite ministries see this broadcast, if any of your family members might benefit from the information we shared today, feel free to share the link to the broadcast when it's posted here on Friday. As always, you can reach out to us here at Barnabas Foundation. You can call us at 888-448-3040, or you can reach us at planning@barnabasfoundation.com, and that'll plug you right into our planning department. Or likewise, if you're a donor and you were invited to this broadcast by one of our member ministries, you always have the ability to contact that ministry and talk to one of their gift officers or the gift officers that you work with, and talk to them about this giving solution itself. As always, we are here to serve. It's an honor and privilege to serve all of you through this work we're doing for the greater kingdom. And we thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us, and have a blessed day. Bye-bye.